Hey everybody, welcome back to Jane's Books and Stuff. I'm Jane, of course. I've got some more goodies, mostly from the Mike Moon collection, but one not. Y'all see it later. And just interesting magazines, books, publications of note. So this is Fujin magazine, and when I picked this out, it took me a good 8 seconds to realize, hey, wait a minute. This is in English. It's got Sakura Wars on the cover, as you see, and especially down here, it's got that kind of I don't know what else to call it. I really don't think there's a name for it, but just this kind of big blocky lettering, lots of yellow. I like lots of yellow. Not that American magazines don't and can't have that kind of thing, but I was like, oh, this seems very Japanesey. And then I noticed over here, read pages from this side for articles. Like, what do you mean? Flip this over. Oh, Tetsuro Hara jump scare. Um, so one side is Raijin Comics, and the other one is Fujin Magazine, which is pretty interesting. So definitely wanted to pull this out and show it off. Now you'll see, this is published by Gatsun, which I don't know too much about. They seem like they are a Japanese-based company or have very, very close ties to a publishing company in Japan. I see now they're with Tokuma Shoten, but at this time, this is like June, August 2002. So not sure exactly how they were created. But even look at this, like this table of contents, like this rainbow effect. That is so much fun. And we have fun little chibi character here. I'm Aoi, your Fujin guide. We'll have lots of exciting Japanese anime information for you in Fujin magazine. And yeah, there is a lot of funny stuff in here. Lots of comics too. We'll flip this over and take a look. We won't go through every single piece, but some stuff of note here is Animazement in Durham, North Carolina gets a shout out up here, and that's a lot of fun. And they said the Japanese premiere issue of Raijin Comics went over big with the crowd, who snapped up 350 copies in 1 hour, thanks to the luscious table biscuit Irish. I don't know what that means exactly. Maybe that's a kind of snack or something. Um, but Stan Sakai was there also apparently in that year, so that would have been cool to see him. But yeah, they mention some stuff like Speed Racers down here. And again, there's a lot of interesting use of English, for lack of a better phrase, in this. When I was going through it, it's nothing really crazy, but it's just sort of worded in a way. Fujin will actively support American readers by providing information on what's going on in Japan. We believe that the internationalization of the world is very important. We hope to introduce you to the world of anime and manga and to share our knowledge of it with you. Very polite. Very cute. Here we go. So I read over this, sort of a casual, I don't know if I'd even go as far as say a casual fan, sort of casually aware of Sakura Wars, mostly through other people. I've seen a little bit of the TV show they did a long time ago. That was the year 2000, I think. This is all about the Dreamcast release for Sakura Wars 4. Now you'll notice on the cover it was called Sakura Wars, but through this article they only call it Sakura Taisen. So, again, it seems like somebody wasn't talking to somebody else, or just interesting use of language. If you look up here in the intro, they are called the Teikoku Kagekidan, which it seems like Sakura Wars fans translate that differently too from time to time. It's like Imperial Flower Military, it's something like that. There's a couple ways to look at it, but they just leave it as it is up here, which is kind of interesting. And, they even have down here, like, hey, do you want to find out more about Sakura Taisen? The most updated information on new work, products, and events, check out sakurataisen.com. Although this page is offered only in Japanese, fans and curious surfers can still view screenshots of the game. And that's just so charming to me. Yeah, very, very interesting to cover this. And we've got some of the other stuff here. This is about the TV show, about Sakura Wars 2, the PC version. And there's something funny down here. I'll see if I can pull this up. But it's some sort of software, like some sort of typing software, maybe. They have one with, there's Sakura in the actual game, I think. But there's Erica Fontaine. I believe that's her name. If that's not her name, I'm so sorry. Like I said, casual fan. I believe that is Erica Fontaine. But, yeah, really interesting to feature that. Ah, yes. These are friggin' awesome. Big fan of Fist of the North Star. So this is all about their Kyoto's appearance and Tokyo Toy Show over here. They kind of go over some of the same stuff. I noticed down here, and they mentioned Capital Toys a few times. 200 yen, that's like for free. And that's Misato. Like, who wouldn't want a Misato for $2? So, pretty nice stuff in here. And again, more things that didn't or wouldn't come out in America, at least for some time, especially this. This is a North Star super premium box. I remember a long time ago, before Discotek did their thing, this was like the holy grail, sort of. Like, oh, if you wanted to have Hokuto no Ken, you could see it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you could buy that if you had a region-free DVD player and a ton of money, so it's not too crazy to take a look at it. But we have some more normal stuff, too. Tenchi Muyo, Slayers, Baki the Grappler comes up again in this. And, I always have to mention Pat Labor, I guess. Pat Labor comes up. Movie 3. I have never seen this one. I heard it wasn't good way back in the day, and I just never bothered. Maybe it's actually awesome. I have no idea. So, someone's got to tell me about that. Yes, there's the Baki toys. I gotta say they're pretty interesting just for being not naked guys, but you can see they captured the expression of that manga like pretty well. Like, these are fairly impressive looking things. And we have these cute little dolls down here. And do you want a figure of Toshiro Mifune? I guess you could get one. It's 15,000 yen, so let's not even bother converting that because I don't want it. And hey, more capsule toys up here. This one's for Evangelion. 200 yen. Come on. They had it so good. We didn't even know. Ah, this is fun. So this is the game section, and here's our date up here, 2002, June. So I'm gonna assume maybe this was July or possibly August. I don't know for sure. I tried to look. I know there's a running problem here where I look for a date and I can't find it or forget to look, but here we go. So somewhere after this. So we got Samurai Action. There's a little bit here about Onimusha 2. Do like that game. Not as much as the first one. I just didn't understand the whole, like, basically you, like, date your friends, sort of. You, like, give them gifts and all this. And there's this game, Kengo 2. I don't know if that ever came out. I'm not familiar with that. And we've got a little piece down here. This is about Phantasy Star Online, a game that is sort of before my time. I associated pretty much only with the Dreamcast. There were versions for Xbox and GameCube. So, GameCube, I don't even know if our North American version had online play. There was a GameCube network adapter. I don't think it came out here, or it was very, very limited. So, not sure what was up with that, or even if the game came out in America. But there's a fun bit down here. Square brings back the ever so popular Final Fantasy RPG series to the PS2 with Final Fantasy XI. First released in May 2002, continues to rack up sales. And that's all fine and good, but the world of Vana'diel is spelled in an interesting way down there, which I think the game was out in America by that point, so I feel like somebody should have known. I'll have to double check the date. But again, lots of little funny phrases. If you look through this by every word, you will see more interesting things like that. More cosplay type stuff. And this is nice. So again, something that's like, it's almost too Japanese themed, maybe. I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, but again, like, hey, maybe you're planning a trip to Japan and you want to visit Radio Kaikon. This has a fun breakdown of what's on each floor. So you've got movies, DVDs, books, 3D items. Again, fun spelling here. Gunpuda, which, yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough to spell it that way. And I like up here they have what you'd see written like on the sign, I guess, while you're entering that floor. So again, it's useful for that kind of thing, but man, who gets to go to Japan for all that time? And then there's a little preview of what's next. Mamoru Oshii, Akiba, more stuff about Akihabara. And yeah, then it gets into the comic side. Now get this. So you turn the page. It looks like this. Okay. There's Gatsun's name. And this seems fine, right? And you're like, wait a minute, wasn't I supposed to flip over to the other side to read this? Yes, you are. It's a little unusual, so you can look at it like this, but here, let's flip this over. Yeah, so if you go through it this way, I guess it already is flipped over, but we'll see in another book. There's more kinds of flipping. So this is pretty interesting. The lettering is a little non-standard, and also, like, this first one is about like a plane hijacking story. But even though this book is like printed this way to be Raijin comics, you still read it like this. You still read it left to right. So they'll like introduce this. So like this is the big splash page for this story, which also seems to have an interesting political theme. Again, just sort of interesting, to have one about a plane hijacking and then another about the president of the United States. I'm just saying, it's maybe you wouldn't have seen that in other manga magazines in 2002 if it was completely American publication, but who knows. And yeah, so you see that follows this format. So they introduce like what the series is. This is Slam Dunk, and then you've got some sample pages here. So I'm gonna imagine that future issues of this just have the stories. This is like an issue 0, sort of a preview. And really cool looking stuff in here. A lot of stuff I've never heard of. Apparently Raijin Comics was published in Japan as well, so I guess this is like a pretty close analog to it. I'd have to double check with somebody. But yeah, really, really cool. And I always like seeing these manga in a... Oh, I had to show this off. Look at that. Some poor soul. Right there. Holy cow. Way to go, man. Way to go, lettering team. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff in here. I've never seen one that's like this, where it sort of goes from the other side, but still reads left to right. And I'd really like to see another one of these. I have no idea how many there are. So I've got to go take a look. I mean, what an interesting, different kind of magazine. All right, time for the big guns, y'all. Oh, buddy. All right, this is Otaku USA. And I was like, no way, Mike has a magazine from this late. But yeah, this is October 2007. So really, really cool. Just beautiful Diebuster artwork. Do not come at me with your opinion on Diebuster. Every time I mention Diebuster, someone has to show up like, oh, it's not that good. And they even say that in here. Shush. And guys, there's a new anime coming out, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. I bet that's going to be good. So I've got to say, this magazine, this is a big boy that is filled with gorgeous stuff. It's probably one of the best looking, best presenting magazines that I've gone through so far out of that collection. I mean, all the animaricas are also really nice. But, this is 2007, so this looks a little more like stuff I was reading in, like, game magazines and things like that. So we cannot go through every single piece of this. I'm going to try to head out here, but we'll skip ahead. This is a fun little piece about Godzilla Goes 3D, the second Yoshimitsu Banno movie that never happened, but sort of eventually did, like 15 years after that. There was that Godzilla, like 3D animated movie. I don't remember the full story behind that, but I thought it was kind of interesting to see that again. Because when I was learning about Godzilla, you would see that, like, oh, there's going to be a Godzilla 3D movie and Hedorah comes back. And yeah, they talk about some model kits up here. Japan getting their own Big Mac variant, which is the kind of funny stuff that you would only include in a magazine from this time, I guess you could say, at least in my opinion. And they've got a lot of funny photos here. Really like the tone of how a lot of this magazine is written. It's funny, but it's not like jerky, assholey type stuff. This is all about like a specialty shop in Japan that sells like sexy superheroine type goods for all the people who grew up watching Super Sentai and Kamen Rider and stuff. I had to make a note of this. Oh, rest in peace. This looks like they died. they didn't until Crunchyroll came in, but this makes it look like they sort of died. So I was sort of amused to see that. Somewhat saddened as well, I would say. So this is going through some latest releases, and that includes Orgus. I was like, what? I didn't even know Orgus came out on DVD here, but I guess it did. Shows what I know. But they just go on like it. They remind their audience it is a retro anime, so in the sense that it literally is from the 80s. So that was kind of a jump scare. And actually, in this, there's a surprising amount of retro mecha stuff. I mean, Die Buster was on the cover, but much older than that. So got a J-list ad, which is pretty funny. Here we go. Some new anime in Japan. Darker Than Black. I always get that confused with something else. There's some other anime with black in the title that I always get it mixed up with, and I can't quite recall. Claymore, new at this time. Freaking sweet. I mostly know the manga, and I've never finished it, but Claymore, the TV show, sweet. I saw a post on Blue Sky this week, actually. Claymore got removed from Crunchyroll, I think. So right now there's no legal way to watch it, which is a shame. And then this fun little piece about a cosplay cafe. This book is so huge, I have to like tilt it to show you. It did not fit in any of my bags and boards, unfortunately. But this is about this young lady who's race queen, and she does kind of these cosplay shows for different places. So just kind of a funny look into that side of it. Some Japanese manga. And the printing quality here is super good. Really did it. You may have seen that. Hold on, I will acknowledge that. What is Shotokan? I'm not... Again, pretty interesting thing. But they mention here, named after the boy protagonist Shotaro from Tetsujin 28. Now, as far as I know, that's like a belief. It's not like totally known if that's true. I mean, I believe it. It seems true. But it's interesting to see that in a print magazine, because I've always known that as sort of a, not necessarily a rumor, but something in that ballpark. And then get a subscription to Otaku USA, which this had a $10 cover price. So I think for $10, this is pretty darn good. Here's Fujoshi USA, which I tweeted about on Blue Sky. Fall 2007 Yaoi reading list. So, get on it. Again, I think if somebody made a magazine like this now, there would be something like this in it. It's not like Yaoi's any less popular or anything, at least in my view. Hey, we got our reply card in here. But just sort of amusing. Now, this is a big feature. This movie, Tekkon Kinkri. It's I always think of Tekkadan when I was reading this morning. Tekkadan from Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans. But I was not familiar with this film at all, but this is a big part of this book. It's huge. And they interview the director, who's a Baka Gaijin. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's nice. But, and yeah, this movie has a wonderful art style, it looks like, just from the screenshots. There's a director. And this, like, urban painting, this reminds me so much of Digimon Hurricane Touchdown, which, it had these kind of, like, painted backgrounds at the start when they're in New York. So I really like this kind of urban landscapes. But, yeah, tons of information about that. Here we go. Yes. Japan's Giant Robot Renaissance, 2007, Year of the Mecha. Woo! Hell yeah, baby. So I would get into all of this stuff a little later. It was more like 2009, 10, 11 for me. But they mentioned the Raijin, the sort of remake of Raijin, which I don't even know how much of it is a remake. They call it a rehash up here somewhere. But I have never seen this, and honestly, I don't see it get mentioned all that often. There's also a cool Giant Robo piece over here. Giant Robo just held on to people's consciousness, which is great, because it is great. But so it surprised me to see this. This is the remake-ish of Kotetsu Shinji, which maybe you've seen that image where the guy steps out and he's like, I don't need to breathe in space. It's that guy, I think, the main character. I haven't seen that series in forever, but since 2009, 10, 11, whenever I might have seen some of it. But I thought that was interesting to see that because again, like I don't think that came out in any kind of official capacity over here. I think I may be mistaken, but you know, it's still something you'd want to read about. And then we've got some stuff on Gurren Lagann down here. They mention all kinds of interesting things. They do mention the connection to Getter Robo, by spiritual connection. Which when I was watching Gurren Lagann, I thought I had like secret information. I was like, oh guys, Gurren Lagann it's just like all this other stuff that existed before. Trust, but here it is all laid out very plainly. It's not a secret, but you can be kind of defensive and secretive when you're at a young age. And then up here they talk about Dan Cougar Nova. Love the opening song for this series. Never seen it. Don't think I've ever seen a whole episode. We've got sweet little Simone and Nia over here. So really enjoyable. Big piece on Death Note. And flip it. This is our manga section. So very well. I shall comply. Ooh, oh, I've got to turn it all the way around. Okay. So, just like I've mentioned before in the past with Animerica and stuff. See, I think we're just totally out of whack here. I can't get all my book flipping mixed up. Yeah, here we go. Seeing Vampire Hunter D and stuff like this in a huge... I mean, look at my hand and then look at that. That is huge and it looks friggin' sweet. I mean, this is really cool. Oversized manga like this. I mean, this is... what? This is really... awesome. Don't take that out of context, me saying ooh, but yeah, really beautiful over here. And then what's interesting is oh, you get some posters too. If anyone wants this, let me know, I guess. And that, that's kind of strange too about this. This poster is double-sided, but it's right in the middle of this manga section. What if you accidentally tear up Vampire Hunter D? I mean, that would suck. More opie. And then, somewhat annoyingly, when you get through all this, not familiar with this. CMX Key to the Kingdom. You've got to flip it back over again. So that seems kind of annoying. At least in Animerica, it was all in the back. And there was like one page. Does anyone want this Beck box set? That's pretty cool. Apparently they were giving that away. And then... another thing surprised me. Kikaider. It's here written as Kikaida, which is fine. Just multiple pages about Kikaider, and I was like, wow, that's kind of a pull, but at the same time, not really. I guess if you were into this side of it, like I was. And yeah, I was just really impressed to see that in a mainstream magazine in 2007. I mean, this is all pretty sweet. The only Kikaida I know is mainly there was an OVA at some point, and that's what I'm familiar with. And this, I had no idea what this was. This is some kind of spin-off of Cyborg 009, apparently. This episode's getting a little sexy. I had never heard of this ever. So what the heck? I'm always learning something. Oh, one more here. This is an interview with Steven Spielberg, and it's about a couple different movies he's done, and there's some stuff about Transformers in here, which I guess he executive produced, I think. But we all think of Michael Bay when we think of that movie. I feel like it's really his film. So yeah, very oh yeah, look at this. Ooh, gorgeous. Now more book flipping. Which I won't flip this over right now, but it says something like, if you went to go see a movie and it had none of the original characters and not the same setting and, not this and that, is it really a sequel? And like, well, whatever. They make some kind of snide comment. But they do say nice things about Diebuster in here. They go over the history with Gunbuster as well. And just the different receptions to it. It's quite interesting. And then last piece here. This is about Karas. If you're like me, you know the name Karas from Tatsunoko versus Capcom, where he was like a sick guy with a sword. I just assume his name is Karas. I have no idea. That might be him. I don't know. He was just an awesome samurai guy. And also, in that game, they were both Tekkaman. So pretty awesome, but I didn't think Karos was the kind of thing that got a couple pages in a magazine. So pretty cool. We'll wrap that up there. Get yourself some Naruto action on the PSP. And all right, I've got one more quick thing to show you. This is from my pal Amy, who sent me all the Gundam manga. The same person who sent me the G Gundam manga. This poor thing is beat up to all hell. We got some purple Sharpie on the sides. Corners pretty bad, and so yellow. But that's okay. So this is Gundam 79 by Kazuhisa Kondo, which is sort of like a proto Gundam The Origin. Not quite. It's much less like that, and it is more like a retelling with some modern artwork. Now, I've always felt the impetus to do these is to just draw cooler looking depictions of the mobile suits and things like that. Like, oh yeah, look at that. Doesn't look quite like that all the time in the TV series. But I've been flipping through these, and let's go back here. If we look up here, this second edition volume contains names which have been updated to match Bandai's release of the Mobile Suit Gundam TV series. So I think this originally came out as like single issues, and then they compiled it into, the typical manga size compilation. It's still left to right though. So I would be surprised to see if there was a third release where it's all fixed up. But this volume opens with Amuro coming back to his home and, beating up on the Zeon soldiers, and then we get into Ramba Rao story arc. So gorgeous artwork in this, and you can see the Gundam very mean looking in a lot of panels. It has a very, very sharp helmet, which I kind of like. Here, I'll let you get another look. Now, I mentioned the name changes. I'll try to find the panel in here, but there's a lot of funny instances of very distinct, not even close lettering trying to match it, and it should be back here somewhere. Let's see. I will make a comment. It's interesting. So this is sort of like a, I believe it's originally published 94, 95 maybe in Japan, and it's like 2001 or 2000 here. The art style for the characters is not super updated, but I suppose that's one of those things where if you did that, somebody would be pissed off or like, oh, it's not really Gundam. That's not what Gundam looks like. So there's definitely an interesting twist on their appearances. I mean, it is different. I don't think it's any more or less modern. It just looks a little different. Where is that panel? There's one with a Ramparao. Here we go. So this is Ramparao, one font. I'm trying to contact Captain Mikuve. Okay, completely different font. And then we go up here. Oh, we missed one. Captain Makube is presently unavailable. So, so close. So there's a lot of little funny things like that in this. Well, not a lot of them. That was the first one I noticed. But the other thing I thought was kind of interesting about this, there's no, you probably noticed, there's no chapter pages or chapter titles. It just sort of keeps going, which really is, it kind of makes it harder to read. There's really no kind of like pace to it. And again, it is like somewhat abridged 0079. At this point, this story arc is mostly intact, at least from what I recall and how much I got through. But, it just kind of keeps going and going, and it really needs something to pause on. But, yep, there's the soldier escaping. I think you know all that stuff. We'll go to the back here. This is an interview with Kazuhisa Kondo. And one of the things that stood out to me is, let's see. So they asked him a few questions about like the TV series versus the movie versions, and it seems like he prefers the TV show. And here we go. I'll pull up for this. What do you think of Z Gundam, the sequel to the original Gundam? My feelings about the TV series Z Gundam are mixed. I would certainly not be where I am without it. The quality of production is so much better than the original Gundam, doesn't even compare. The content of the show is a different matter. I was distracted by what the sponsors wanted, so I didn't feel like the show took on a personality of its own. That is insane to me, but you know, Zeta Gundam was one of the first ones I watched, so to me, it's like a national treasure, and it seems like opinion of it is very positive now. But I keep seeing in other magazines, I'll have to pull some out for you, but it seems like Zeta Gundam keeps getting mentioned as like this sort of black sheep, even though now we think of it as a hey, get your antenna, by the way. Even though now we think of Zeta Gundam as like almost like a Star Trek Next Generation type situation. It didn't seem that way at the time, which I had never heard of anything like that. So it's interesting to see like different, somewhat critical opinions of Zeta Gundam. I personally find that very interesting. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment. Especially comments help a lot in this early phase of the channel. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.